my presentation by Peyton's Company. So here's some general information about the subject. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is a collection of debris and litter that spans from the west coast of North America to Japan. It's the largest of 5 ocean patches and is mostly made of microplastics, or tiny pieces of plastic. There isn't a determined side of GPGP because some of the plastic sinks down centimeters or even meters under the water's surface, making it extremely difficult to measure. It is, however, estimated to be larger than Texas. This global issue is all of humanity's fault, so it's our duty to stop and prevent it before it can do more harm to the environment and animals, including us. Okay, so this is all the prototype stuff. My prototype would be 150 feet wide, 200 feet long, and 15 feet tall from the surface, with balance beams, which are these things, on the sides to support, and a volume of approximately 450,000 cubic feet. In the front, there would be a paddle that scoops up the water and then splashes it into a conveyor belt made out of a mesh. Okay, can I draw this out?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this is the side view. So this is the paddle, and then you see like this. And so the thing moves like this, the paddle, and it scoops up the garbage, and then it splashes it into here, which is inside the boat. And then there's a conveyor belt, and this is the first mesh. And for that mesh, it's tiny enough that plankton and other microorganisms can go through, but not the plastic. And so then that all goes through, and it goes back into the ocean. And then the conveyor belt goes onto the second mesh, which is tiny enough for microplastic to go through, but not real trash. And then that goes into the back of the ship. And then the last conveyor belt is just a conveyor belt, and it just brings all that bigger trash to the back of the ship, where workers would haul it all into containers for easy whatever. And then, yeah. Oh, and then there's also water that pumps seawater out to hydrate organisms so that they don't die when they're so cool. Blah, blah. There would be almost 30,000 square feet of solar panels, these are solar panels, on the top of the ship, powering the 2 electric motors for the ship. The panels can hold up to 72 hours of energy without sun exposure. It would move very slowly because it gathers the water around it very thoroughly, which also means it would take quite a while to cover the whole patch. With enough resources, though, there could be multiple built and used to cut the time taken in half. This machine is inspired by the paddle wheel boat and swather, and is focused on making a small carbon footprint rather than cost and time. Although each country has contributed to the GPGP, the countries that would likely be in charge of creating and testing this prototype would be the rich ones, such as China, Russia, Canada, and America. They are also the biggest countries surrounding the garbage patch, making it easier to access. Each ship would have a crew of 10. These people wouldn't be paid because they'd either be volunteers or have to do community service. Yeah. And that's that.
I like your prototype.
Yeah, thank you. Anna?
What would happen if, like, would fish be able to, and other,
I thought of that, and I mean, I don't know if they would swim under it, but if they did go into the conveyor belt, there would be workers like standing by at the last mesh, and they would pull them out, I guess. Nicholas?
Do you know how long it would take for you to clean up the garbage patch?
Not exactly. I'm gonna guess with one, it would probably take like 10 years or something, but if there were like 3 even, it'd probably take 5.
What are you gonna do with the garbage? Like, how are you gonna get rid of it?
Okay, so it goes into shipping containers, and then the boats, the boats take it to the recycling plant, and then it gets recycled for the plastic, and then you get money from that, and then the trash goes in the trash dumps.
the countries that are in charge, China, Russia, Canada, and America, did you decide percentage-wise who would be paying what, or would they split it evenly?
Well, I
or-
think globally there would probably be a fundraiser thing like that people can donate to, and so that would cut a lot of the money out of these guys. But I think because they're not third world countries and they're the most rich, they'd be mostly in charge. But I don't know how they'd be divided.
Okay.
Did I miss it? Did you go over why the garbage is there, where it is? Did you go through that? Can you go back in the slides just really quickly? I think I was so intrigued by your prototype, I didn't pay attention to the part. Okay.
Yeah, it's humans' fault because I mean bears don't produce plastic and stuff, so.
Care Bears.
True.
What made you think of the filters in the conveyor belts?
I don't really know. I knew that I had to do some kind of filter thing because, I mean, there's a difference between the algae and microplastic. And so, I don't know. Just, yeah. I knew I was going to do a paddle from the start because, I don't know. Oh, Athena.
How would it like move like the conveyor?
Well, I mean, the solar panels power the motors, and so I imagine the motors, or the engines, motors would move the conveyor belt.
But what about like the meshes or something?
Well, the mesh is the conveyor belt. So you know, like a conveyor belt is like a black belt around like spinning things. Instead of the belt, it would be mesh.
What if it went down onto, like plankton went down onto one of the bigger parts? When it
Well,
was
then-
turning around?
Then,
To God some sand.
yeah.
How does your thing tell what's plastic and what's...
Well, they're like stages. So the first mesh would be like 20 feet long or something, and then it would just, only the algae can go through because the mesh is so tiny that nothing else would be able to go through. And then it would drop off everything into the second mesh, which would be the same thing, but big enough for microplastic to go through. And then it doesn't really detect anything, it just happens.